You recently had a sit down. I want to say it was with the Tennessean, if I'm not mistaken, but it could have been with someone else. No, I think it was with the Tennessean, kind of reflecting on 2024. And I guess in a way, I have to give you credit for this, even if I might disagree with what you had to say, because you were asked after the transit tax, now that it has passed, and obviously some of the courtroom drama is behind us with regard to whether or not it will go into effect. You were asked whether or not you expect that there will be a look at increased property taxes, and you were pretty straightforward that this is the year. I mean, tell me if I'm characterizing what you said wrongly, but this is the year to do that, to relook at property taxes and potentially see some of those going up. Yeah,
that's fairly consistent with Metro's history, and I think you probably paid attention to this too. We just had a changeover in our finance director for Metro. Kevin Crumbo had come in and spent a little more than a year as our interim finance director, and now we have our permanent finance director who just started this week, Janine Kaufman-Reed. And Kevin had talked to the Nashville Business Journal as one of his final, kind of an exit interview from the standpoint of Metro Finance. And a couple things from that conversation. We're in an incredibly strong position with our city credit rating. We're in the strongest position we've been in a long time from a fund balance, basically our rainy day fund perspective. But he's been very candid all the way along that we have to be in a position where two things happen at the same time. We live within our means as best we can. We kind of took what is usually a 4-year revenue cycle and stretched it to a 5th with no increase. And then as we look at our property values and look at how we have to pay for growth, that's the second thing we have to do.
So how can we help me marry these two concepts? Because on one hand, I hear the mayor of Nashville saying we need to provide more affordable housing in Davidson County. And on the other hand, I hear you saying property taxes are going up. And I think we would agree that even if I'm renting, that I'm naturally going to see the result of increased property taxes as a renter in Davidson County.
We're incredibly sensitive to that. And when I was on the Metro Council, I did not want to get too far ahead of the curve in terms of the considerations we had on budgets there. And in fact, I spent a couple years pretty diligently looking at the lowest possible scenario we could find for what a property tax rate increase might be, because even back then we were starting to see that cost of housing rise. We know from kind of an inflationary period post-COVID, there have been concerns about groceries, and that's why overall this year the function of government is going to be focused almost exclusively on affordability and access to programs that help people offset costs, many of them already in play. There has been an increase in the property tax freeze and relief program that we hope people over the age of 65 on fixed incomes will take advantage of, veterans, et cetera. But to your point, one of the things we got some good analysis on was that sort of household by household impact. And as long as we keep things, I guess I'm looking at it from the standpoint of we want to consider costs and benefits. As long as we're seeing the kinds of scenarios that we know are good, like snow removal, trash collection, public safety, because we know, for instance, that Metro Nashville Police Department is suggesting from a staffing study they've done, they want to see more officers on the streets. We're not going to announce anything big and shiny and new in this budget cycle, but we have seen some investments that were made in that COVID timeframe that we think are worth continuing, and we want to be able to fairly evaluate those staffing needs from a public safety perspective.
I know Cameron has a question. I want to get in front of him, but I buried the lead. How much snow did you get over? You're in Germantown, Salem Town? Germantown?
We measured
How much did you get over there?
We got just shy of 4 inches.
Oh, that's not bad.
Wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it's enough for a snowman. Cameron?
Enough to build a snowman and go sledding.
There you go.
Yeah, so I know that a lot of our listeners right now just heard you say, "Hey, property tax hike." Like that's the thing they heard.
That'll be the headline anytime we have a conversation.
Yeah, write a lot of headlines. That's clearly the hook. The question though is weighing against the benefit. I mean, you've kind of danced around some things, but you said nothing big and shiny. What is the need that's going to be met by a property tax hike?
It is literally going to be the fact that government, like any business, like any household, also sees inflationary costs. And so we know that the Metro employee base over the past several years has We've looked at cost of living considerations for them. We do have a salary study underway that we hope will give us some good peer city analysis and best practices to look at as we put together a pay plan, which is always part of the budget on a year-over-year basis. And then we will be evaluating those continuity programs. When we went through COVID, we saw some strong performance from some new programmatic initiatives at Metro schools. We'd prefer not to cut those. We think things like having universal school nurses is a good public need, but in order to sustain that, we are up a little bit from a budget standpoint from where we were before COVID. If we have a staffing increase at MMPD, that is new cost. And so some of it is just that curve of where inflation also impacts Metro government. And the thing about it is the property tax rate will probably wind up being lower. And so some people will see the actual amount of property taxes they pay go marginally down. But it all depends on where, ultimately, this is all driven by what the assessor's office determines property values are across the county. We also need to figure out, did property values continue to go up? We think commercial office properties may have declined in value some. So there will be a mix of factors.
Can you explain this concept to people in Washington that, you know, when you go up for spending, you have to go up with taxes if you want to keep it there? It's kind of neat.
One thing that I would be delighted to explain is the benefits of having a balanced budget. And so we do that every year, and it's one of the reasons why we have the strongest credit rating we've had in Metro history. It's also, we have been very attentive in the past few years of not getting ourselves into a position where we are looking at kind of a severe cut scenario or extreme austerity scenario, or what we hope to avoid, which would be an unusually large increase.
I mean, not that I'm one to defend the federal government, but it's a lot easier to have a balanced budget when you pass a transit plan that opens the door for some federal transportation money that alleviates
that. That part's not related to the general fund. That's not related to the operating budget.
Well, but I'm saying that if you don't have those monies have to go. I mean, I'm just suggesting that the Nashville takes its fair share of federal dollars.
We do, but Tennessee actually, on the whole, receives more than we send, which is an advantageous space to be. From a Nashville perspective, though, we deliver our city services. In fact, one of the benefits of the transit plan is it will take pressure off the general fund. We will start to see the WeGo budget line item decline over time.
Freddie O'Connell, mayor of Nashville, is in with us. I announced